Well, welcome back to the channel. Today we're at St Chads Church and Cemetery Graveyard it's now Winsford. It used to be called Over. The church itself goes back to 1543, but it has been rebuilt many times since then. They obviously do have a lot of moles. You see in the graveyard the moles. So it's an old church down a little country lane with war graves. Let's take a look. I wish we would if we could get in. There's a couple of graves here, very old and not in a good state of repair. That Christmas tree for some reason. But can't see the date on that, but obviously that one behind's really old. They do seem to have a lot of tombs here, which usually seems to suggest it was at one time very wealthy. Get up here. He's going back to 1793. There's always one where they plant it and put a tree, and then you end up with that. But these are all really old graves. You don't really, if you call them a tomb, because they're not. A tomb is something with a body in, but these are just sort of placed on top of a grave. And again, there's one sort of hidden under a tree there. This goes back to 1852 and 1887. Can't see if this is a family grave because there are similar markings on both of them. And other than that, you can see there's no actual sort of body of it's just on top of a grave. There's lots of robins and things about. More of these tomb-like things. Normal to find sort of in one area that the local grave maker did all the same. There's one there that's rather magnificent. This, I believe, if we can get up, there's a sundial that's broke. Well, I think if this is the one, this is the base of an old cross going back to the 1500s. Just take a view of the sandstone church. You do like the, we can see very well the gargoyles up there. Some more of these tombs are in 1908. All seem to have this pattern inside. Another one here, 1829. A different view of the church. Again we get this where there's, whether these were original graves or they've knocked the headstones down and made them into a footpath. It, to me, always seems a bit disrespectful. Going round to the side of the church, another big tomb and a Celtic cross here. I mean, something like this is obviously high status, isn't it? You can't really read whatever it is. There's a car park next to it. Again, a lot of gravestones. 1867. And a strange old well, which isn't a well, but this is a rough bit of the church. So again, whether these are original graves or gravestones have been laid flat, but they sort of go on to this sort of mystery tour. Even here you can see they're still going. It is quite a mystery tour this is. I don't know whether we see any more down here. Presumably this was at some point part of the church. Because we've got steps in there. A little bit strange. I'm looking at some of these old graves under the tree. This one's 1844, 1841. So they can't possibly be graves, can they? Because they're all too close together. They all seem to go back to sort of 1800s. And we have more old graves here. That's only 1921. Don't forget, as usual, if you want to see more of these graves and actually probably read them better, that my main job is Google Maps. So if you go on Google Maps for St Chads Winsford, Cheshire. I've got hundreds of photos of these graves where you can sort of read them properly, or you can always sort of freeze the video. These are 1936, 1888, and it was called Winsford. It was Over, which was sort of now become really part of Winsford, but it was a separate place at one time. 1923. Another one in the brambles. (1892). And then it does sort of go into fairly modern graves. Presumably that's a seat covered up. Well, there's the odd one that's old, but all these are fairly sort of modern. We'll go back towards the old ones. These are 1883. Major John Kemp Cook, Crossfield House, Over, so it's called Over there, the 7th Cheshire Regiment, who died in active military service on the 25th of July 1915 and was buried here 31st, age 36. Also Captain Taylor Cook of the same regiment, killed in Turkey. So quite a family grave of military history. Still 1893. 1882. Just difficulty walking because it's like a ploughed field. Why do they always make graveyards when it's sort of like that on the ground? This is a bit later, 1882, that's a family one, 1882, 1934. (1881). 1876. 1918. It sort of splits here as a path. So we've got some of the modern graves we've just looked at, and some of these sort of next to it are fairly old. There's a rough sort of path here. Going back to 1885, is it? nice countryside view. Some disappearing under the weeds. On the two there, there's a war grave over there. We did highlight this on Google Maps that they don't mow this until about March, so it is like a bloody ploughed field. Now if you've got loved ones in here, actually getting to it, and if you're old like me, it's a bloody nightmare. Sergeant Fit and Air Gunner, Royal Air Force. One there that if I can get to it has really seen better days. And it's just gone too far, hasn't it? This you can't sort of reclaim this now. And that must be a war grave, but not, because you can have a war grave and have it private, so you don't have a normal war grave headstone. But due to the fact there's crosses at the base of it, I'm assuming that's a war grave. And this whole area, it's now just a ploughed field. Well, we've come round a bit and we've got some obviously fairly high status. There's a load of chains round something here, but there's no sort of headstone to indicate what it is. But this is obviously high status. 1907, 1840. And this is one of the most outstanding on this graveyard, isn't it? Could do with a clean, but it's still in one piece. I can't read it. It's wife of somebody, but it's certainly a very good headstone, that. So this is a bit of a better path, this bit of tarmac here. Obviously what was another high status one that's got these chains round in 1920, 31 years, you can't make out the names. 1912 there. There's one here certainly well preserved. With this a family, yeah, it's family plots, so several greenwoods. So we're on the top path above where we've just been. Some nice seats. Better view of the church. And that's quite a magnificent I don't work out what it is. 1839. Oh, the Lockett family, one who died in infancy. These seats are obviously fairly new, as are these graves. Another new seat. This seems to be the thing now. A lot of people are now getting a seat and putting a plaque on it, which can cost £1,000, about as much as a grave, as instead of having an actual gravestone. Just come back to the sort of main entrance. We were that side. We did see all the moles. So the graveyard has extended to here. There is a war memorial. So it's definitely a lot of moles. Just a shame the war memorial can't really read it. Just wish they'd clean these things up. There is names on there, but they're all sort of illegible. I mean, the pampas graffiti is magnificent. And this is the new part of the graveyard that comes into play. So it's a path where all the new-ish graves are. Again, even these new graves, they're like plough field. I mean, if you've seen my Audland one, where the graveyard, you can literally play bubbles on it, it's that good. Why do people have to put up with this? Just drawn to this one. This is 1985, but 1970. Another big grave. We have got a memorial wall, we've got a seat, several seats. Whether this is for just like a mini headstone, if you like. These are fairly new graves. On that one at least has been cared for a little bit. They're supposed to be rabbits or what? Whether these are cremations. But all this lot is new graves. It's not perfect, but you can sort of walk around here a bit. I mean, you have to remember you paid for a grave. And you expect it to be looked after. I mean, being a graveyard, very often you needed to be a church member to get into a graveyard, unlike a cemetery which isn't consecrated. And it looks like a very sad child's grave there. It must be fairly recent. Some wonderful toys. Yeah, sort of gettable up here. Although you have got these rough patches. Very often if you get sort of modern graves, you do get people that actually keep that like they're a little bit tidy. Problem is, if you want to tidy, then you've got to buy a battery operated strimmer or something, because obviously there's nothing else. Nice little spot here with several chairs, seats, a nice country view. I don't quite know what's happened here, but these are you usually sort of see this sort of thing for gypsy graves, but I mean this is just a massive flowers to graves, and it's obviously sort of both Joneses, so presumably it's a sort of family plot. And other ones, so they do look like sort of typical well cared for gypsy graves. So it's a nice country spot up here. I'm heading back towards the church again. There's a lot of these old graves in this bit of rough ground. I mean, I'm 77 years old, and to get to any of those is an absolute nightmare. Why they can't take care of it, it's not a £1 million job, is it, to get somebody to come and mow it and trim it. I mean, once it's in this state, the only way is to kill the grass really, and you'd have to get something to try and level it. I mean, you don't know who these people are going back to the 1800s, who were the great contributors to the church. Just see if I can get up here. The problem is you can't see what's underground, because there's like these knobs sticking out. You can't read that. I was just looking at one grave here that looked, you can't read it, but it looked a bit special. He's only 1917. Another one there, so getting to it is almost impossible, but I presume that once again is a war grave, because there's crosses on it and flowers. 1919. Doesn't give any details if it is a war grave, but we do have an app that we can look at and see who they are and what they are, and get the service records for these people. It's just sad that we don't pay respect to these people that gave their lives, and they're soon forgotten. Really want some volunteers to go round. I mean, the War Graves Commission do come round, but it can be sort of 6 months at a time as they come round, so they can tide it up, and within a few weeks, if it's big growing season, it makes it difficult like those, because you look for a war grave, you look for the proper war grave type of headstone, so it gets hard to find some of these that have got private headstone. And the War Grave app does tell you the direction and what have you, but it doesn't give you like a GPS where you could take it to within 3 inches. Again, look at the state of these. There's one there quite interesting. I don't know whether they can actually zoom in a bit to see. You can't sort of read it, but these is just almost impossible to get to. And some of them just seem fairly sort of modern graves. There's one there with flowers on, so it's obviously still got relatives. Looks like a family plot. Sad one there because it's a child. 1914, 1 month old. 1926, 1950 and 2000, so it's a Holden family. And there's quite a lot of burials in that. I mean, you'd think, wouldn't you, that a church could get a gardening company, give them a big advert if they kept the churchyard clear on a regular basis. I mean, some like the rewilding, but it's what you signed up for, isn't it? There's one just down the road from here where you can plant a tree and it's like forestry and you know what you're paying for, but all these people presumably thought their graves would be looked after forever. Well, that's it for this graveyard. It is interesting, and you come across this a lot. These near the church, these old graves, you can see all the grass is pretty well kept. It's on a bank like that, but you can get to these graves reasonably well. So why they keep these in this condition, but those up there, those leads to rack and ruin? And it's quite a few churches you do find this for some reason, because all these that are close to the church usually sort of more high status, because the closer you can get to the church, you know, the more blessed you are. Well, we're just further down the road from where we were at the United Reformed Church Over. Now, there's not really a lot to see here. Small graveyard, but I thought, while we're so close, we'd come and have a look, because it's just the building, fascinating, weird. I don't know what style you'd call this. It really does pop. We've got a war memorial here. Lots of names on it. I'd say it's not very big, but I've never seen it open, but it's certainly a magnificent building. Got some gargoyles there. It certainly does stand out. It's not your normal run-of-the-mill church, is it? So there is a graveyard, but it's not very big at all. There's a lot of modern graves here, and just a few of the old ones. Well, at least this one's cared for, so it's not as good as Ordland, but you can sort of walk to any grave if you're not going across a ploughed field like we've just been doing. So it's only a few hundred yards up the road from where we were. I just thought, just for the sake of the building, it's worth going to have a look. There's a war grave, and that's another private war grave of Norman, the only son of Albert and Phyllis Elcott, born 1921, served with them forces 1942. He's obviously RAF. So it's difficult when you come to look for war graves. You're looking for the proper war grave, not something like that. So there's one or two old graves. Fairly modern one here. It's well looked after. Now some graveyards do allow you to put all these toys and everything on it, and others just throw the damn things away. Another one, it looks a child's sad grave. So there is very little to see, but it's just while we're up this way, make a day of it. Sort of hidden, it's almost on the roundabout, and you don't know it's here. You'd probably pass it and never spot it. I'm trying to get to the bottom where you can see what we're doing. Right, that's better. 1999. So it's just this whole section that's old graves. There's one there that's really rotted away. Again, you can see the same sort of design coming across. 1851, 1903. Another one there that's rotted the same. A modern one they've snuck in there. And another one of these funny little ones. (1905). They are rotting away, a lot of these. This must be, I'm assuming, a family plot, because there's like two separate headstones combined to one. Taylor, you can't really read it. 1881. Another one rotting there. Two hands touching, so it must be sort of husband and wife or something like that. So you get something. Here's one 1867, there's another one died in infancy, and they're well preserved. those other couple are falling apart. This one's starting to go, but this is 1863. Another big one there. Another double one. I presume that's husband and wife again. Leo Hover, Mary. Another one of those little ones. Again, we've done this on Google Maps again. So if you want to see the photos, you can actually go on Google Maps. So really that's all there is to it. You just thought I'd do two for the price of one. That's quite an interesting one. London on the Congregational Church 1880, and a little sort of bit at the front. Can't quite make it out. That's as much as there is to see, really. That one's going back to 1960, must be 1977. There's one there underneath. Just have a quick walk around the building, because that's really the main attraction of it. This fantastic building. I doubt somebody will tell me what this style is, but it's very distinctive. I think at the back is a separate building, which is a school, I think. It's just like a church hall. Even be the entrance. It looks as though this bit's been added on, doesn't it? It's different style. I mean, what a magnificent sight that is. It really is something, isn't it?